The Institute of Management (IMP) was set up by the Government of India as the sixth national level Institute of Management. The institute was created as an autonomous body fully funded by the central government with the support of state government. Consequent to increasing the number of seats in the two classrooms from 60 to 79 and in another one from 36 to 59, the institute decided to construct a hostel for training program. However, instead of constructing single occupancy rooms, it was decided to have double occupancy rooms, a move that perplexed everyone. Explaining the reasons, the director said, "It was all very confusing. The institute located in southwest corner of the country, away from the mainland, the cost to sponsoring companies used to be double than registration fee because of high travel expenses. Besides, due to poor air connectivity, one had to spend one full day extra for each way to attend a short duration program. Train journeys entailed several times more the time, and average 24 hours. I was therefore not very sure whether it will be possible to have high capacity utilization to cover even out-of-pocket expenses and reach break-even point." Luckily, our faculty development programs had clicked due to judicious pricing strategy, but the fee was to be kept very low, almost 1/4 of MDP conducted by other institutes. Still, filling the capacity was difficult. Then an idea crossed our mind to have double occupancy rooms which will be used for 9 months for PGP students, and in summers the same can be used for faculty development programs and other programs and activities. The cost for such hostel was 33% more than single occupancy rooms for PGP students. But the hostel then could be used for 3 months more. The rate fixed by FDP was 18 times more, rupees 300 net per day per participant on double occupancy basis compared to rupees 1,000 per month for PGP. With occupancy of 20% on 80 days in 42 rooms in a year, it would mean an income of rupees 20 lakhs, 80 into 600 into 42. It could thus add up to rupees 21 lakhs in 3 months compared to rupees 1.36 lakhs realized at PGP rates. Thus, while the cost of civil work of hostel construction went up from rupees 120 lakhs to rupees 160 lakhs, the additional recovery would be a matter of 2 years. Further, for part of the period it was used for MDPs, the rate could be 3 to 4 times more than FDP. The additional cost was estimated at rupees 100 lakhs in civil work as well as executive type furnishing, which would take maximum 5 years to recover through FDP and 2 to 3 years if used for MDP. In a nutshell, the institute was getting one hostel extra for 3 months of summer, with costs covered in 4 to 5 years' time, whether one calls it building a PGP hostel or FDP or MDP hostel. Explaining the reason for furnishing the hostel in executive style, the director said, "There have been several considerations. Firstly, and most importantly, I have always believed in multi-utility buildings. This helps in optimal utilization of assets, reduces cost, and makes them useful for a variety of activities which are important but not of long duration and not amenable to a charge on actual cost basis. I will recover cost with MDP fastest, FDP over a longer period, and PGP hostels over a very long period. Secondly, we had started succeeding in organizing major conferences at an increasing scale but were severely constrained by infrastructure and could not scale up. We could not afford to create 500 capacity boarding lodging arrangement for big conferences that will be extremely important, but could not give enough occupancy during the whole year to make it viable. But if decently furnished PGP hostels were designed to meet the requirement of delegates of conferences, the same facility can be used for 10-20 days in a year, and very high capacity gets created for large conferences at a little extra cost, thus covering full expense of large conferences despite low registration fee. Thirdly, we did not want that faculty development program participants get inferior treatment in terms of hospitality than the MDP participants, though they can't pay even half of what junior level industry participants can pay. If we do not respect faculty members ourselves, how do we expect others to do that? Finally, if while doing so the PGP students too get better facilities at no extra cost, what is the harm? They may not use air conditioning, refrigerator, etc., and don't pay for it. But if they live in well-designed room by choice, I see no reason why should not we let them relish facilities at no extra cost. In essence, by creating radically different multi-utility hostels, the Institute has separated separate costs into two parts. Basic cost of hostel plus cost of basic furniture given to PGP students to be borne by PGP students for 9 months instead of 12. 2. Additional cost of building plus that is attached toilet, changing room, and additional cost of superior furnishing to be borne by MDP, FDP, conference participants for use over a period of 3 months. Thus, while cost to both PGP students and MDP, FDP participant conference delegates is low, farmer could enjoy better facilities and amenities. The fee for MDP, FDP conference could be substantially reduced without reducing the quality to make them within reach of the participant. Furthermore, these multi-utility buildings will give capacities that are not possible otherwise. Thus, when regular 200-bed MDP complex comes up, the Institute could host fully residential conferences of over 500 delegates at a rate as low as Rs 3,000 for a 3 days conference covering full expenses without seeking any sponsorship. The Institute could then think of 5 parallel conferences of 100 delegates each during 3 months of summer. The move came as a good tool for keeping pace with the growth of other institutions, despite facing serious constraints of land and hilly terrain that doubled the construction time. Indeed, the Institute could grow faster than others and create large capacities than others. That others could not think of, for a variety of low-cost but important activities like faculty development programs, conferences and seminars, postdoctoral research, etc. Elaborating the point, the director said, we were planning for next increase in PGP intake to take it to 240. We needed 2 more hostels of 60 students each. We did not have land. Architect could manage only 160-seater and 164-seater hostel. On request, they made it double occupancy to increase MTP conference accommodation. By 2007, the pressure for increasing intake by 54% under OBC quota was increasing, which required even more hostel facilities. On being pressed further, the architects squeezed yet another 47-seater hostel, which was also made double occupancy later. We thus got 3 hostels, 2 of them being double occupancy hostels, furnished in executive style with 171 rooms, which were necessary for increasing intake of more than one section of 60 students, that is 76 students. However, we also got in the process 300 plus bed capacity executive accommodation created at almost no extra cost for organizing conferences, training programs, etc., which could fetch rupees 2.7 crores revenue, that is 30 into 90 into 1,000, at a meager fee of rupees 1,000 per day for participants. If one consider 24 rooms, 48 beds capacity created already in guest houses, the total accommodation for low-cost activity could go up to 350 beds. With the proposed 200-bed, fully air-conditioned DP complex coming up, the capacity available for organizing large conferences and training programs during 3 months of summer would go to over 550 beds. This would overcome a serious handicap of the institute, as the city did not have good hotels with more than 180 capacity, that too not in one hotel available for such conferences. In any case, the charge would not be less than rupees 1,000 per bed, along with the problem of managing logistics. Side by side, we were planning to increase library and reading room capacity by completing finishing work of top floor of computer center and library, which would have about 30,000 square feet additional area for starting 6 specialized research centers under postdoctoral research center. With prudent policies, we had been able to create a decent corpus fund whose interest could support research expenses of about rupees 5 crores per year. The amount was good enough to support travel, boarding, and etc. of about 500 people for 3 months, and also about 200 to 300 fellowships of rupees 1 lakh each every year. If 500 postdoctoral scholars could be mobilized in serious research work year after year, some really useful outputs will start coming out for teaching, training, and consulting to help manage education, make an impact on outward globalization of India, which the country wished while opening the economy in 1991. We dreamt, concluded the director. The foresightedness also helped Institute cope with an enormous challenge. The central government was pressing the Institute for increasing intake by 54%, that is 97 seats, in 4 years' time, while other institutions were struggling with timely construction despite being best placed. This institute had the problem of land also, which was a contentious issue between the central and state government, run by different parties, and both were unwilling to provide the same. The resolution of land issue was not in sight despite 2 years having passed. However, because of double occupancy accommodation, the institute was in a position to accommodate 60 more students in hostel meant for 60 students only. Indeed, if the students agreed, it could increase full quota of 54%, that is 97 students, in the first year itself. It was not easy. There was no model available to us in India. I thought that students would not agree. But we made double occupancy accommodation very attractive. It was not ordinary double occupancy accommodation. We made it an executive hostel with amenities that made it look like a 3-star hotel in a resort, available at the cost of a regular PGP accommodation in similar institution. Still, we did not want to compel. We discussed with students as to what accommodation Indian industries got in institutions abroad, how the experience of living together with partners in different countries with different food and other habits helped them in learning to bear others, to grow and become among the top 10 richest in the world. This made students think, and they volunteered to give a try for those who wanted. Before demitting office at the expiry of his 5-year term, the director invited the entire faculty council to attend his last board meeting, in which a faculty member made presentation on postdoctoral research center. After a few clarifications and suggestions, board approved the same in principle. When the experiment was cited in a research conference, the delegates were not convinced with the economics of the decision, nor with the idea that by making such changes the institute will emerge as a research hub. A lot more was required, some felt. What if the experiment fails? Some others felt. The institute stands at a strategic crossroads. Another quipped. Postscript. The institute was able to increase PGP intake from 180 to 268 in 2008 to meet 85% of OBC quota required in the first year itself, to 300 in 2009 and 390 by 2016, despite the construction of next phase being delayed because of land constraints. It also allowed the institute to expand MDP and FDP activities. The revenue went up from Rs 21 crores in the year ending March 2008 to Rs 65 crores on 31/3/2016. The corpus fund too went up from Rs 84 crores to Rs 180 crores during the period. The entire infrastructure was used for conducting sponsored training programs for by and large junior and middle level managers, which helped in rapid increase in revenues and corpus fund. PDRC remained a dream. Most faculty and board members were happy and highly appreciative of the development. No one remembered the board decision on PDRC.